Okay, so I'm gonna start on February 21st.
Okay.
So our first class is gonna be the Thursday. It's gonna be with grade 6.
Okay.
Since this is their first lesson to swim, we're gonna go through the rules again, expectation for class, which later I need to check with you again. What would you suggest, like for our swimming, the expectation for the kids?
So I would say for clear expectations for the kids, if it's their first time in the swimming pool, I think number one, you want to find out who's brand new to the ASIJ pool, just so you have an idea, because I think there's some kids that already have an expectation of they've been in the pool, they already know from years of being here. So the kids that are new to you want to double check and make sure, you know, once you give the expectations, it's good for everybody to have the clear expectations beforehand, but with those specific new kids, just to make sure and do a recheck-in. I would say that the big things for you, especially in a swimming pool, is safety, right?
Of course,
Number one, giving them the guidelines of what you want and what you expect for the pool.
Okay.
So going through all of that, going through what to do in case of an emergency, when you blow the whistle, all of those things I think are important. But as far as the lesson goes, since it's your first lesson you're doing, I think is giving them clear learning targets. You know, what are we going to do today? By the end of today, you will be able to, etc. I think it's always important to have those learning targets. Then also with those targets, making sure you clearly assess where they are. I know one of the areas you want to work on is differentiation. And how are you going to do that? Having that clearly articulate that to the kids. In advance of the lesson, this is what we'll do if you can do this. So we always call it
the reason of the learning.
So the assessment piece, the clear learning targets, and then we want to see that differentiation. The other thing which I think is so important for swimming is, and any type of physical activity, is the feedback. Like the more feedback that you can give, the automatic feedback, and you and I who have both the swimming background, we both understand that coaching feedback is the most important thing. And so anybody else who's on deck with you on staff is talking together and maybe doing a bit of, we would say, collaborating or making sure you are the same on what types of feedback you're going to give. Like today we're going to look for this. So I think that's a good thing to do with the multiple members of the team, is you articulating that, and we call it calibrating. Calibrating so we're the same, not that we give the same back, but today we're going to be looking at these things. So we're looking at these skills, and this is what we will respond in our feedback on. That's what I would say would be my expectations to see. And then based on an observation, then I would say like what areas we need to go to from them. And I also think, I think swimming brings a whole new kind of area to you. You've got kids, especially in middle school, with their bodies and being warm and letting them know if there's anything that you are uncomfortable with. I mean, we have to go here, but if we've got young girls who are having their periods or things like that, they may culturally not be able to swim. So letting them know that you are compassionate and have empathy for their situations or whatever it is. Or body image is huge in middle school. And we just want everybody to be comfortable and be able to know they can come to you if there's anything. So just saying that, you know, right off, not so much about body image or that, but if there's anything that's on your mind that you need, you want to talk to me about, please know that I'm here for you. I think that's important, especially with the first time in a pool.
Make them that they're really comfortable, as you say. Not just with swimming itself, but just
the situation.
All the environment.
Or even nervous about being in the pool. You know, we may have kids. You know, we don't have many here. We assume that everybody, because of the high socioeconomic of our school, etc., we assume everybody can, but there's some kids that are nervous. I haven't been in a pool in a long time. I haven't, so,
Usually I think for the newer students, some of them, you know, they've never really been swimming in our deep pool.
So really, that's another thing too, that's a great, is talking about the parameters of the pool, you know.
Okay, so the first lesson we're gonna go through all of the rules, and then maybe we do like, I don't know, swim, not really a test, but you know, maybe 3 minutes. You show what you can do.
Just like a quick assessment. And we call it like a beginning pre or formative assessment.
Maybe you don't have to go to the deep end if you don't want to stay in the shallow end if you're not comfortable. maybe
Yeah.
that's a good way.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that's great.
Okay. Yeah, okay, and so this is our list for
Okay.
our students.
Students, yeah.
For our first unit. So as I know, because I'm coaching swim team, I pretty much know everyone
Yeah.
in the school who's a good swimmers.
Yeah.
Leo is the best
Okay.
swimmers.
Oh, yes, we know
in
him.
middle school. Yep. And Kento also was swimmers.
Mhm.
And I happen to know that Nolan and Rio
Uh-huh.
is quite scared of the water.
And then Nolan is new to our
Nolan is
school.
new, yes.
So, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like,
Mhm.
like you say, we need to try be clear to everyone, and everyone, like, go at this with the same, have the same goal. Okay, we are doing
Yeah.
maybe freestyle. What we're looking for in the kicking is this.
Yeah.
But do you have any suggestions
For them? I think especially when you were talking about doing a kind of an initial assessment, making sure that that's done individually, so not everybody's watching it. So it doesn't necessarily embarrass or put a child like Nolan or Rio in a setting where they can't risk take or they close down, because we don't want their first experience in the pool to be a negative. So I would say, one thing they can do is kind of base themselves off of my comfort level, where I am in the pool, splitting up into different smaller groups and then assessing them.
Okay, I was thinking sometimes we can all go together and having one comment in, like, as a big group instead of 3 different groups.
Yeah.
Because I know some kids, they can, like, oh my god, I'm in the smaller, I'm in the weaker kind of group. Because I mean, with physical activity, you can't hide from that.
So thinking of middle school and how you would go about that, I would say have them get into their lanes and their comfort levels that way.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's like a self-assessment, which is another form of differentiating right away.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And with the pool at the moment, it's very hard to hear for the students. I have to scream even when I talk with a microphone.
Yeah.
There are some students who just, they tend to keep talking even though I say, guys, listen up.
Yeah. So I think the very first day when you start, you have to set a clear expectation on your direction.
Okay.
And you can do anything from, we in the elementary school, even in the cafeteria, we've got 300 kids and they all need to listen to us, like we raise our hand and you've got to put your hand up. You can have some type of signal or something that you do that is an expectation. You stop, you get above the water, like we know from swimmers, they're underwater, they're splashing, they're doing, it is stop, eyes on me, and you can either create a signal, ask them what's the best way of doing it. It's something you can do together, but that class management is so important. And the thing too is I always say never give a direction until you have the undivided attention of everybody in the class, right? Because once you start doing it and you are not expecting them to be accountable, then they'll start slipping and you'll never get it. So just you have to set those tones and even be a bit more harsh on the first time you're with them. Then as your comfort level comes later on, I think even with new teachers you gotta be, I wouldn't say strict, but you need to be consistent. And that consistency is paramount in everything that you do.
And make it as a routine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
It's okay. So for elementary PE, Jeff are using the shape mirror.
Yes, standards.
So I am still going to use the same standard.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. As long as you have those standards, I think even with 6th grade, it's not a big difference, right?
Okay, yes.
But I think no matter what, it's so important to have a set of standards because you know what your goal is.
Yes.
Without, it's that whole, when I was a young teacher, I taught dinosaurs because I thought it was fun to teach dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But now it is so important to focus on the standards. And then within the standards, what are your learning objectives? What are your learning targets? What are those? So, and you clearly articulate that. What I try to do is have a whiteboard too. I know Jeff and Stephen do that. Have a whiteboard. Today you will be able to, boom, and you really focus on what they're going to be learning today and you let them know that.
There are some visuals as well.
So I think using the shape standards, the shape standards is perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
So